For learning the software engineering, सब्सक्राइब दिस चैनल। सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग के कॉन्सेप्ट्स को सीखने के लिए इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए।
Today's question is, what is prototype model? And as you know, our subject name is software engineering. So let's discuss this question. So guys, prototype model is a software development model in which a preliminary version or working model of the software called prototype is developed before the actual system is created, and this prototype contains the basic features of the software, and it helps the users to understand how the final system will work. And it if we talk about its purpose, so the main purpose of this model is to gather the user feedback and clarify the requirements before starting the complete development process. And in next point we can see prototype model is mainly used when the customer cannot clearly define all the requirements at the beginning of the project. And in such situations, developers can create a prototype so that the user can interact with the system and can provide suggestions. This helps both the developers and users to gain a clear understanding about the software. And in this model, prototype act as a sample or demonstration of the final product. Apart from that, it also allows users to visualize the system and examine its functions before the actual software is developed. And since prototype represents the basic features of the system, so user can identify missing functions, can suggest improvements, and can also request necessary changes. And if we see in next point, in this model, prototype can be modified several times according to the user requirements, and developers can make changes, can add new features, and also can improve the existing functions until the users are satisfied. And this flexibility allows the requirements changes to be incorporated very easily during the early stages of the development. As a result, this model is highly suitable for the projects where requirements are changes frequently. And in prototype model, we can say that it also helps in identifying errors, missing requirements, and design problems at an early stage. Since users can review the system before the final development begins, many issues can be detected and can corrected in advance. And this reduces the chances of developing an incorrect system, and it lowers the risk of project failure. And another important characteristic of this model is that the final software is developed only after the prototype is approved by the user. And once the requirements becomes clear and all the modifications are completed, developers begins the actual development of the software, and this ensures that the final product meets the user needs and expectations. So we can say that overall, the prototype model is an effective software development model for projects where requirements are unclear or likely to be changed. And it also helps in improving communications, reduces risks, helps in identifying errors early, and it also increases the customer satisfaction. And by allowing the users to interact with the working model before the final system is developed, this helps in ensuring that the final software will meet the needs of the software users, will meet the needs of the users. So now you can see the diagram of prototype model. Let's discuss that and its phases. So friends, as you can see in this prototype model diagram, requirement gathering is the first phase of the prototype model, and in this phase developers meets with the customers and users to understand the basic requirements and objectives of the software. And here users explain the purpose of the system and the features they expect and the problems that the software should solve. And since the requirements are usually unclear at the beginning, only the major requirements are collected, and the development team tries to understand the user needs, expectations, and business goals here. This requirement gathering phase is very important because incorrect or incomplete requirements can lead to the development of an unsuitable system, and proper requirement gathering helps the developers to understand the project and can reduce the misunderstanding between the users and the development team. Next is design. So after collecting the requirements, a simple and preliminary design of the system is prepared, and this design focuses on the overall structure of the software, user interface, input screens, output screens, and basic functionality. And this design phase provides a general idea of how software will look and work, and it acts as the blueprint of the blueprint sorry and it acts as a blueprint for building the prototype, and it helps the developers to organize the major components of the system. Next phase is building prototype. In this phase, developers create a working model of the software called a prototype, and this prototype includes the important features and basic functions of the system. It allows the users to see how the final software may look and operate, and this prototype should know is not the final product because it may not contain all the features of the actual systems, and the main purpose here is to help the users to understand the system and provide the feedback. So let's move to next phase, which is customer or user evaluation. Here we should draw this like also. So customer and user evaluation. After the prototype is developed, it is presented to the users for evaluation, and the user interact with the prototype and examine its features, designs, and functionality, and they identify the missing requirements at that time, and they can also suggest the improvements and can provide valuable feedback which can help the developers to understand the actual needs of the users, and it also ensures that the software is developed according to their expectations. Next is review and update phase. Here, based on the feedback received from the users, developers review the prototype and make the necessary modifications. New features may be added and can be and existing features can be improved, and errors can be corrected after that. And we can say that this process can continue several times until the users are satisfied with the prototype and all the requirements becomes clear. I think I already explained that in previous points. There is some similarity between that. So next is coding phase. After the prototype is approved and the requirements are finalized, the actual development of the software begins, and developers writes the complete source code of the system using appropriate programming language and the development tools. And this coding phase converts the approved design and requirements into a fully functional software system. Next is testing. In this, after coding is completed, the software is tested to identifying errors, bugs, and defects, and different testing methods are used to verify that the software works correctly and satisfies all the requirements. This testing helps in improving the reliability, quality, and performance of the software and ensures that the system functions correctly. Next is maintenance. So, this is the final phase of the prototype model after the software is developed, and here developers continue to provide support by fixing errors and by improving performance and by adding new features if required. And this all done after the deployment of the software. And in maintenance phase, we can say that this phase helps to keep up the software updated and ensures that it continues to meet the user requirements and can perform efficiently over time. Now, let's talk about advantages of prototype model. So guys, before starting the advantages of prototype model, I want to explain one thing is that there are some points which you think are same or you think are repeated, they are repeated, but there is a certain similarity in this in points. So I want to give advice that is use all the points as per your requirements while writing in exams. Means uh, you can choose the important points from this and can write in your notebook after that. So let's start. First is better understanding of the requirements. In this, prototype allows the users to see and interact with the system before the final software is developed, and this helps the users to understand the features and functions of this system. And after seeing the prototype, they can easily identify their actual needs and can provide the better suggestions. As I said, it is also same like what we discussed in prototype definitions and some other points. So as a result, the requirements becomes clearer and more accurate. Next advantage is early user involvement. In this model, users participate in the development process from the initial stage of the project, and they can review the prototype, can suggest improvements, and can provide feedback regularly. And this continuous involvement helps the developers to understand the user expectations and requirements. Next is detection of errors early. So, in this model, many problems, missing requirements, and design errors can be identified during the prototype stage. Since the user can examine the system before the final development begins, developers can correct the problems at an early stage. And in this, early reduction of errors reduces the chances of major problems in the final software, and it also decreases the cost of fixing the defects later. Now here you will see some a little different points from that, but you will see a little similarity also. So next advantage is easy to make changes. In prototype model, changes can be made easily during the prototype stage because the actual system has not yet been fully developed. And if the user requests any new features or modifications, then developers can implement them without affecting the entire project. just write implement here in your notes when you make them. So this makes the model suitable for projects where requirements changes frequently. Next point is it produces better quality software. So as you know, continuous feedback, repeated improvements and early detection helps the developers to create better quality product. Software becomes more reliable, efficient and user friendly because it is refined several times before the final development. And in the end, final system usually performs better and can meet the user requirements more effectively. Next point is it helps in improving the user experience. As you know, user can evaluate the functionality and usability of the prototype before the final product is developed, and their feedback helps the developers to improve the designs, and other features of the softwares, and this result in overall better development of the software and better user experience. And it also saves the rework effort and reduces the development risk. So, as we know, prototype model reduces the risk of project failure because the requirements are verified before the actual development starts. And as we know, in traditional development models, incorrect requirements may be discovered only after the software is completed, which can result in a costly rework. So, in prototype model, requirements are clarified at an early stage, and this reduces the unnecessary modifications during the later stages, and it also saves both development effort and resources. Just to remember some points, like it reduces the development effort and it saves resources and cost, and it also enhances the overall user experience and it increases the user satisfaction, and make your own points with them. So next is disadvantages of prototype model. So it increases the development cost. Prototype model can may increase the overall development cost because developers have to create a prototype before developing the actual software, and if the prototype is modified several times, then that time cost of the overall model will be more than the expected amount. And next is it requires more development time. So the process of developing, testing, reviewing and modifying the software can take a considerable amount of time, and here users may request multiple changes and developers must implement those changes before starting the final development, as we know that. So therefore the overall development process may become longer. It is not suitable for very large projects. So prototype model is generally not suitable for very large and highly complex projects, and managing repeated modifications, multiple user requirements, and continuous feedback can become difficult in large systems. Therefore, this model is more effective for small and medium-sized projects. You can remember that line also. So next is frequent requirement changes. So after seeing the prototype, users often request additional features or modifications, and continuous changes in the requirements can make the project more difficult to manage and it can delay the completion of the final software. This can also affect the project schedule and budget. Next disadvantage is poor documentation. So developers may focus mainly on building and improving the prototype. As we see in the whole explanation of prototype model, developers focus on developing a prototype as per the user needs. So they may pay less attention to preparing proper documentation, and inefficient documentation can create difficulties during maintenance, future updates, and system management. So, guys, this is all about the prototype model. Thank you for listening to me, and you can see more points about a prototype model online also if these are not sufficient. Like resource consumption is also a problem in this, and it is not it is unsuitable for the stable requirements. I mean, it is not suitable where the projects have has stable requirements. So I think that's it for today. Thank you.